I hope you've enjoyed watching the comic story. Here I'll address the question how we may apply Aristotle's great ideas for a successful life. First, you need to know that for Aristotle, everything has its unique nature and function in the natural order. When an object fulfills the function of its kind to the highest level, it achieves a sort of functional excellence. Aristotle calls such excellence a virtue. To strive for the functional excellence would be the ultimate purpose or final end of the existence of anything in the universe. Just check out nature and you'll see that when you appreciate the beautifully blossoming flowers, a resilient old pine tree, a dutiful ant, a hard-working bee, or a speedy leopard, you praise them for their functional excellence according to the natural order you know of. This is the first point about Aristotle's theory. That is, functions, excellence, and the purpose of existence are intertwined with each other in the universe. How about the case of a human being? Aristotle defines a human being as a rational animal. We are similar to other animals in certain aspects, and what distinguishes us from other animals is our unique rationality. A successful life is bound up with the good use of our rationality and reasoning power. In this regard, Aristotle's general advice is this. First, foster the virtue of intelligence by sharpening your reasoning power. Then, nurture the virtue of character through the moral cultivation, including the application of the doctrine of the golden mean. Now, how do these virtues of intelligence and character lead to our successful life? To answer this question, we may try out some conceptions of successful life and see how Aristotle rejects some options and support the others. To begin with, can we define a successful life as a life of sufficient nutrition and bodily pleasure? Aristotle's answer is negative, because in that case, we wouldn't fully utilize our potentials as humans if we were satisfied merely with the life of nutrition and bodily pleasure. It's fine for us to pursue the bodily pleasure, but merely with this in mind, as the final end of existence, it is way below what counts as a successful life for us. We could do much more, and in fact much better than what other animals are up to. Okay, how about treating a wealthy life as a successful life? Aristotle's answer is again negative. Here we may consider two scenarios of a wealthy life, and you'll understand Aristotle's point. The first scenario is this. By definition, you are wealthy if you are in possession of a lot of money and property, right? But the mere fact that you possess a lot of money that makes you wealthy wouldn't do any good to you if you do not use the money. Ebenezer Scrooge, the elderly miser, in Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, is a case in point. He is wealthy, but he is not doing well. Actually, you might add that such a wealthy life is quite a poor life. Merely in possession of a lot of money is clearly inadequate in making your life successful. This will bring us to the second scenario. Let's say you were very, very wealthy and could make use of the money in the ways you want, but at the same time you were very, very unhappy day after day throughout your whole life. Would you like to pursue this sort of wealthy life? You would have a second thought, right? But why? Well, obviously, you've made an assumption here. If you go for a wealthy life as a successful life, you assume that if you were wealthy, you would be happy. But this assumption commits the association fallacy, because these two things, wealth and happiness, need not go together. They are logically distinct. That is to say, the existence of one doesn't warrant the existence of the other. Aristotle rightly points out that wealth is good only when you can use it as a means to achieve something else that you consider as important. When you think more deeply, you'll discover that the importance of wealth is always secondary, as a means to something else that is more important. Aristotle explains that only when you've correctly identified the final end of your life, or the ultimate purpose of your existence, could you lead a successful life through the wise use of your wealth. Wealth, for sure, is important for many purposes, such as the case where you want to be helpful and generous towards your friends. But the importance of wealth is only to help you achieve something else that you think more important for a successful life.